Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ted's Library. That's right, this is the series of videos where I, Ted, show you through my library. You can see right here, I've got a brand new bookshelf. Ooh, it's a little bit longer. It holds more books. I still have the old bookshelf. You can't see it, but it's across. And I can now hold more books than ever. That's right. We're expanding Ted's library. Eventually, it will be too big. Anyway, on today's episode, we will be revisiting, in fact, one of my favorite topics and genres of literature, fantasy. Cue bad fireball effect. Today we're going to be talking about fantasy novels, more fantasy novels that I'm interested in getting into. So without further ado, let's get right into it with book number 1. The first book in today's list is going to be from a very famous author, someone that you have most definitely heard the name of. That person's name is Stephen King, and the book is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. This is a vampire. That's where your vampire is hella chill. No, this is a vampire novel. Some say one of his spooky-ookiest. I think that's on here somewhere. No, it's not. It's not on this copy, that quote. But this, I've heard that this is one of the scariest ones. Also, Pet Sematary, I've heard is pretty good. But this is one of the classics of the early Stephen King. If I'm not mistaken, this was 75. Boom, 75 off the dome. Salem's Lot. I know that I'm interested in eventually reading the Dark Tower series. I've heard from other people that, man, it's a slog and it's real slow, but I think that I would be interested in it. If you're interested in reading that series, one of the characters from this book is integral, I believe, to some of the later books, if I'm to understand it correctly. But that's not why I want to read this book, but it is a nice plus because I've heard that this is just great story writing. Stephen King, always going to try and look for his classic books. I know he's still putting stuff out, but let's get on to the next one. The next book in the list of fantasy books that I found at Goodwill that were pretty cheap. I don't know if I said that in this episode, but I found most of these books at Goodwill very cheaply. And this next book is The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch. I've heard nothing but great things about this book. You can clearly see from the George R.R. Martin quote that this is some good shit. And I'm not saying that just because he's the Game of Thrones guy. But man, if you haven't read those books, they're real good. And I think that his opinion of writing and, storytelling is a valid one. And it's an important one nowadays. But I've heard this is a great series. I don't believe it's finished like Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. I think it's supposed to be a 4-book series, and there's 3 of them that are out. I believe the last one is planned for 2025. But I'm quite interested. I know it's kind of like a grimdark. I haven't read that much about it. I don't like to ruin things. Orphan's life is harsh and often short in the mysterious island city of Camor. Ooh, that sounds good. But I don't want to read any more because, bloody coup, faced with a bloody coup. Okay, sorry. Anyway, Lies of Loch Lamora. I found this for $2. I saw it and I was like, there's no way that is the book. That's the book. And recently I was in a Goodwill and I found another copy of it. So it's probably just a sleeper hit that people aren't super familiar with. I'm glad I found it, but let's get on to the next book. Longtime viewers of my channel will notice this book from a review that I did, and that book is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This is an excellent introduction to a series. I know he writes kind of in trilogies. He also has some standalones in this universe, but I was very happy with this book. It's really just kind of, plot-wise, it's not the strongest, but it has a great set of characters and you really care about them, and it's brutal and it's definitely grimdark. I'm so, the world is great and I can't wait to see how it progresses, because I've heard that the subsequent trilogy is like an advancement of the world. It's an interesting idea, and the magic is cool and brutal, and the sword fighting and all that sort of stuff. I was super happy with this book, and I can't wait to lend it out to people so that they can also learn of the magic of the First Law trilogy. Let's go on to the next one. Alrighty, few more books left. We're getting into the home stretch. The second to last book is Malice by John Gwynne. This is the first book in the Faithful and the Fallen tetralogy. Again, I try not to read too much into books, but this one is supposed to be real crazy. High fantasy, giants, magic. Wow, I'm just now realizing I haven't read the back of this, so I really don't know what it's about. But I have another book. It'll probably come up in a video soon. But these honestly just look really cool on the shelf. That's kind of part of why I got them. But I've heard they're great. John Gwynne, he has another series that's like the Shadow of the Gods, Hunger of the Gods. I've just got so many books to read. I know I complain about that every episode, but again, this was like $2. I found it at a thing. Oh no, wait, no. This one, no. So I apologize. This one I bought brand new from a bookstore. I think this was the last book that I bought brand new from a bookstore before I went hunting in the Goodwill and other things. But again, it just looks great. It's got the classic orbit thing with the sword going into the... I mean, come on. What are you doing? Come on. The art direction on the outside is great. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that sometimes I just buy books because they look cool. What are you going to sue me about it? Let's do a magic duel. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Interested to see it. Let's move on to the final book. Hey everybody, this is Ted sneaking in before Ted finishes out the list just to ask you to please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment about any of the series, what you think I should read next of the books that I'm kind of providing. I love to get books from the library as well, like the public library in Chandler, Arizona. And, you know, I want to try and power through these books, but it's mostly just trying to collect them so that I can read them in the future. But without further ado, we're going to get into the last book, which is a collection. One of a very... People would maybe classify this not as fantasy, but I'm going to say that this is fantasy because it is a book and it's big and it rounds out the list pretty nicely. And that book is The Complete Works of one H.P. Lovecraft. Yes, look at that edition. Wow, look at this as a spell tome if I ever saw one. This is kind of why I count it as fantasy, because it looks like a magic book. Like if I hold it like this, doesn't it look like I'm doing a wizard thing? This has the entire works of H.P. Lovecraft. It is an enormous tome. It has upwards of 1,000 pages. Oh my God, like 1,100 pages. And I've read a few of the works out of this. This is actually not my book. It is one of my friends, but he has lent it to the library so that I can slowly make my way through the different fantastical and science-fastical tales that are within its pages. It's also quite reflective-y. It has all of them, but you know, the common works are The Call of Cthulhu, At the Mountains of Madness, The Dunwich Horror, and The Color Out of Space, which is the story that I've read, and I very much did enjoy it. But that is going to end our list for today, so thank you for watching, everyone. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave them down below. But, you know, as always, keep reading, and, I don't know, magic or something? I don't know. I'll see you guys later. It was good and oh, I'm going crazy.